And we are back live. You may have seen us just yesterday if you were watching our special X Prize takeover. It's twice a week these days, guys, and we have a very special guest. Thank you so much for joining us, Henry. This episode is brought to you by InVideo, and thank you so much for InVideo for sponsoring this episode. And the Junkyard King is what we're going to be watching, and it's made in partnership with InVideo. A little bit of context around Henry. Henry is Google Labs' first resident filmmaker, and Junkyard King is his 80s set series. Today, we're actually going to be watching the premiere, the world premiere of Episode 2. We discussed whether it was 2 or 3, didn't we, in the chat? Because you had it as Episode 0, which turned out to be a pilot, which, makes a lot more sense. So this is officially Episode 2, not Episode 3. And as always, when it comes to these things, leave your questions throughout the show, and we're going to be doing a Q&A session at the end. I've been told by producer Paul I need to make these creator sessions a lot tighter, mate. So, you know, I'm going to be doing a lot less garbling this week and a lot more following the script. We're going to be watching 2 parts. We're going to be watching it in 2 parts today and back to back straight away. And super excited, like I said, to have Henry on. And we actually met a long time ago. We were just talking about that in the green room. This is the reunition of Henry and Paul. Paul, the producer's in the back end. You won't see him, but he is here. Me and Henry met up again at Google I.O. recently, didn't we? Nice. But Andrew, first time meeting Henry. How you doing, Andrew?
All good, all good. I'm looking forward to this. This is one of my favorite videos that I've seen, the Junkyard King. So I'm looking forward to seeing the second part.
Such a nice style, isn't it? I've told him all throughout this building that this style is so nostalgic. It's so fun. If you haven't seen Junkyard King, you have to go check it out on YouTube for Episode 0 and Episode 1. As I said, we're watching global premiere of Episode 2 today. And where are you joining us from, Henry? Whereabouts in the world are you?
Yeah, I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Man.
It's gotta change. Last time we... So it wasn't at IO. I think last time we met each other was at Upscale.
And Upscale as well,
Yeah, I was still living in Belgium when, at the time of the Coca-Cola meetup.
Right. Wow.
But,
so you took the move out to the USA. Wow. That's awesome.
Quite a change, but
I bet it was quite a change.
Yeah,
from Belgium to USA, it just shows, you know, so much of our work's been over there, though, right? Like, and that's the thing is, so many clients, so many AI companies, it's all coming from the USA, and us in Europe, we're trying to play catch up. Honestly, you know, we're trying to keep relevant and stay on the map, and you know, keep doing our thing. That's why we were trying to do these shows with Europeans, you know, as well as Americans, because we get to see both sides of the pond, and I really love that. And this is Episode 5 of our creator sessions, and so happy to have you on, man. What we've basically been doing is watching Junkyard King in our regular show, because you know, as always, we curate the best stuff week to week, and whenever you posted out episodes of this, we were watching the first 5-10 minutes of it and then encouraging people to go and watch the rest of it on your YouTube. But now we get to watch a full episode in its full glory and have a full stream around one episode, and it's a global premiere, which thank you so much for doing that, and you know, trusting us with the show, and you know, having it in our hands. I can already see loads of people coming into the comments. We've got the usual suspects, Flory B. We've got Perpetual. Thank you so much for joining us from InVideo. Loving it. And Lara, we've got loads of other people coming in. If you're new to the show, let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. Also, what your interest in generative AI is, what sort of background you've got. If you're working in advertising or filmmaking or music video creation or whatever you're doing, let us know. We'd love to know. Already got some big fans of the Junkyard King, which, you know, not surprised, mate, honestly. It's one of the coolest IPs I've ever seen built by anyone. What inspired it? Where did you come to with Junkyard King originally? Like, is there a theme or a topic that's been floating around in your mind for a while, or is it something new?
Yeah, so I think it's a bit of both. So when I work on, how to put it? So when I started using AI like 5 years ago, I think. I always try to have a project in the back or like kind of an idea. I don't like just doing R&D to do R&D, like just doing mindless workflows and just try to see what comes out of it. I like to have a project behind so that I can build up something. And this initially started as a test for Seedance 2 when it came out. I just wanted to see what the model could perform. And I always love the idea of using public IP, like public domain IP, and the Legend of Arthur, for example, is which is obviously like an inspiration here, is an easy one, and see how you can twist those stories which have been around for like centuries and see how you can make something which is feeling more personal and more, whatever, like more interesting, I would say, than just like copy pasting whatever is existing. So this one started like this. I grew up somewhere between the 80s and the 90s, watching movies like whatever, Explorers, The Goonies, anything where like kids are outside of the BMX and just up to no good until nighttime.
Yeah.
And classics. I think there's something. Yeah, exactly. I think the nostalgia which comes with it, right? Like I mean, I'm surprised not to see younger folks looking at Walkman. I think no idea what it is and how it works and how you put the tape in this. And so I think it's also like for me interesting to just pull back some stuff. I remember like this yellow Walkman, the only one you can see in the previous episode already, I think, is something which I know from first-hand experience. So I think it's great. Like it's both mixing stuff I like, getting me to dig back in all the experiences and whatnot.
Well, that is the second time, Andrew, we've heard that, right? Because when we had our very first episode, Uncanny Harry, we looked at some of his H.P. Lovecraft stuff, and that was stuff out of copyright, much like Arthur and everything else. Yeah. And I think this is genius. Truthfully, we said this at the time, right? We're like, why aren't more people doing this? If you're a great visual storyteller, but you really can't do script and plot and stuff like that, then there are great things out of copyright right now that you can actually use as inspiration. And many people, like Chronicles of Bone, did that as well.
Yeah. What made you go what made you go for the stuff that's just come out of copyright rather than something original? Like, was there anything in particular that, or you just like the story of? Okay.
So at the end of the day, I'm still writing my own script, so I'm still writing every single episode to make sure that I go where I want to go. Yeah. I think I'm just borrowing from the codes which are known from those IPs. So the idea of finding a sword in an anvil is something that comes directly from the legend itself. But I'm reshaping everything under. I think it's also like a matter of trying to build around something people are familiar with, because it's been somehow rehashed in different ways. Like even if you look at Star Wars, right? Like they pick from those kind of codes, right? Like the knighthood and having those references. So I think it's still very much original in the way like I don't take the tale itself and just like copy paste it. But I like the idea of using codes people are familiar with, because we're living in a time where like you have so much content being produced and people are really familiar with the same IPs, like because that's what most investment is made. That's what you watch in the theater, and having a chance to create something new, but then still give enough to people to cling to. Be like, okay, I know that I globally know what you're talking about. I think that's somehow what Kevin is doing too, right? Like he's putting back characters that people have heard about or have read about, but then still does his own thing with it. So that's the point.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Familiarity. I can't even say the word. Why invent the wheel? Flurry says,
exactly.
And I get that. And I think that nostalgia is something we've been seeing in our shows regularly, mate, isn't it? Like more people are making like fan films for like amazing things. Now they may not even be out of copyright. That's where it's in some weird waters, like people are making fan films for things still in copyright, and then they're not quite sure exactly where to do it. But out of copyright stuff like H.P. Lovecraft, like Arthur and others, that's where we know it's safe. And they are incredible stories that last the time, and that's a true tell of how good a story is. If it's hundreds of years old and people still know it, it's like, wow, that has lasted time, and it's a reason that that's such a memorable and referenceable thing. But yes, we have the premiere, and we're very excited that you've sent it to us. And thanks again. I want to, for those that aren't as familiar, I want to dive straight into it, honestly, because there's going to be so many questions after we start watching the first parts and everything like that. The only last question I had to you about this is, between episode 2 and episode 1, is there anything else you could pull off extra? You got Agent 2, for example, like, or anything. Was there anything like that stood out as being you can do now?
Yeah, not. I mean, so for episode 1, I was using Agent 1, so I think like it's definitely an evolution between the two models. I think the way I work didn't really dramatically change. It's very much an exchange and trying to see where the model can fit and where the agent can fit. But also like, and on purpose, and I can come back on it later, but like sometimes just going to close the agent and just like fine tune myself in the composition view. So it's very much a back and forth, but there was not a huge change of workflow. I think it's just like an improvement, I would say, in terms of thinking. What I do appreciate, but Agent 1 was already doing it, and Agent 2 is just like a confirmation of that. But I can feed the script, and then I can obviously have the model, the agent, remember everything about the script and everything about the previous episode as well. So the fact that it keeps track of everything we have done so far and where we have been in the story from episode 0 to episode 2, it makes it much easier to keep on building, because I can also like sometimes candidly ask questions to the model and say, like, by the way, we've been there and there and there, we've been doing this and that. What do you think about this? And there's always this, how do you call it, sycophancy normally with models, right? Like the most likely going to tell you that you're right, whatever you say. Try to avoid that. I try to ask always like from a place of like, am I wrong if, and or like, what do you think, or like, and keep on pushing until I make sure. But yeah, so it's very much, I think, an improvement on what I was already doing before, but I didn't really change the way I was doing it.
Right, that makes so much sense. I just wanted to know, because you're one of these people that put things out so frequently, and then obviously the changes can happen so dramatically, as we've seen. But yeah, with all that being said, let's check it out, Paul.
Tonight on Junkyard King, new friends.
I saw you, Kai.
Giant monsters. Teamwork.
How are we doing?
Questionable decisions. And
you pulled it out of an anvil?
A little sass.
Of course.
Time to confront him.
You know the drill. The name's Artie. I didn't find any radioactive spider, and I still have no idea what I am doing. What I do know is that I'm just way too tired. Second time this week. Gross. 2 nights ago, I found a magic sword in the old switchyard.
Good morning, Mr. Jones!
Since then, I've met a talking crow, fought a giant scrap monster, opened a doorway to another world, and somehow ended up responsible for rescuing a bunch of missing kids. So, today's problem should be easy. I just have to convince my best friend to keep his mouth shut. And here he is. Idiot.
I saw you, Kai. Saved by the bell. We'll have a talk later, Kai.
At the yard, I found a wrench with Kai's name on it, but I also watched him try to sneak away. And trip. That's when I knew. Kai hates confrontation. We've been friends for years, and I know I just need to wait until the right time and give him a little push. Bingo. And now he's ready to talk.
You'll stay with me after class.
I saw your name on a wrench, and I saw you trip leaving the yard.
I don't know what yard you mean.
The switch yard? Just last night?
I'm not a night person.
Kai.
How much trouble am I in?
That depends on what you did with what you heard.
Nothing. I swear. I didn't tell anyone.
Kai?
I heard a little, okay? I saw very bright flashes of pink light coming from the yard 2 nights ago, and I came to check what's up, only to find you talking to a mechanical crow thingy. I didn't hear much, though.
Anything else?
A crazy lady in armor, another world on the other side of the air, the town's missing kids, that you're going to go get them back. That's all I got.
Kai?
I swear on my walkie. I won't say anything. I don't want you doing the scary thing alone.
Okay. Listen, there are rules. First, you do what I say, when I say it, which means no questions in the middle of something.
And you need a better story for your parents than, I was at the switch yard at midnight.
I have a cousin in Oak Ridge. I think I can work with that.
Meet me at the yard after school, alone.
Do I get to see the sword?
Yes.
Yes! Okay.
Kai's my best friend. He's not exactly fearless, and people tend to underestimate him. Him and I go way back, and he never, ever let me down. The thing is, when things go sideways, he adapts faster than anyone I know. He doesn't complain, he doesn't walk away, he just figures it out.
Sorry, gotta get up there, guys.
He's relentless, and if you've got him in your corner, you're lucky. It took you long enough. Come on, let's go.
So this is where it happened?
Yeah.
I definitely wasn't here before.
Kai, I know you were here before.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's actually real.
Don't.
I wasn't going to touch it. The surface isn't reflecting light the way steel should. What's the alloy?
I don't know.
And you pulled it out of an anvil?
Yeah.
Of course.
This isn't an amusement park, you know.
Oh, hey, Socket, what's up?
And this is...
Kai, Socket, Kai, he's in.
That's the with a speaker in it.
Breathe, kiddo.
I'm sorry. Is the bird being sassy with me now?
I'm not a bird.
You are a bird.
Are we doing this?
You are a bird, and we're doing this.
Fine!
Alright, here's the thing. To get those kids back, I first need to make a door.
Well, every Excal wielder eventually wants this, but it's also the thing most of them can't do.
How do these doors actually work?
Let me explain. when she came through to mark you. Idiot. It wasn't the blade cutting through dimensions. A door opens only when it resonates with the world's own note. You pulled the blade from the anvil and made every frequency ring at once.
So it's a frequency. The blade resonates at a specific frequency and the door opens. And right now you're brute forcing it, blasting everything until the world answers. If I calibrate this right, I could maybe hear the resonant note and tell you the exact moment you've hit it.
The civilian has a point.
Not a civilian.
Well, let's try then. All right, guys. Stay behind, please. It might get bumpy.
Come on. I can do this.
It didn't work.
That was way too much.
Then how?
Like water, kid, not fire. Feel for it, and whatever you do, don't blast through this time.
Like water, like water, like water. Like water.
It's working! Keep going!
I'm trying! That was close.
Come on, kid. I know you can do this.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I guess I'll sleep later.
I think I got it. Try again?
Much later.
How are we doing?
Up a little? More!
I can't hold it anymore!
Too much!
Kai! Socket! Are you all right?
I'm alright. I think.
Kid, you really gotta...
Not again. It looks like I opened all the frequencies.
You overdid it again, kid.
Two signals. It's the hollowed and the door frequency. They're right on top of each other. I can't...
Hold on to the walkie. Kid, figure something out. I cannot hold him for long.
To the right! To the left! Leave my friends alone!
found it. It worked. See ya. Okay, did I get lucky? Yes. Did I know what I was doing? Also yes. Hey guys.
You opened a door. In the middle of that, you used it to... Like, you didn't fight it, you just...
Moved, yeah.
That's actually kind of genius.
It really was, kid.
So, what do we do now?
Try not to open anything for 5 minutes.
What about you?
I'm making sure that thing didn't bring friends.
Hello?
Amazing.
Yes!
Yeah.
That music at the end was so like, let's go with the guitars. Mate, wasn't that what we were missing yesterday, Andrew? You said no animation entries into the X Prize, and I told you, just wait till today, because this is probably the best animation I've ever seen made with AI. I really mean that too, Henry. It's amazing, mate. So watchable, so... and a great hook for the next episode as well. You're thinking episodically, I can see it. Like, it's really, really, really smart stuff. What are your thoughts, Andrew? My God.
Yeah, like I said, amazing. I love animation. I think by far this is the best animation I've seen. I love the style. I'd love to hear how you break it down, which we'll ask shortly. But everyone in the chat, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. If you've got any questions for Henry about anything, what we've just seen, put them in the chat and we'll be asking.
You're getting a 1 here from California girl, because that's our regular, you know, we have polling on our regular show for like 1, this is awesome, 2, okay, 3, not for me. Obviously, you're a special guest and we're not going to be doing polling because we've selected you as one of the best in the world at doing this. So there is no polling today for those of you that may be voting in the chat. But yeah, hilarious that you got a 1 regardless. Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. As you said, mate, this part, I had ET vibes from it as well. You know, the bike, the basket, the sort of the camera, like, you know, rolling through the
loads of 90s references as well. Loads of those 90s, even like the way the school is and stuff like that. It's just very like the classroom and everything. I've got loads of
the interactions of the characters too, you know, it all feels like nostalgic, you know. So I love his like pierced earrings as well. I love the character designs, each one of the characters and their voices. There's lots of questions coming in now.
Talking of voices, Anita said, how did you keep the voices consistent?
Yes. So there's a few things. One thing which is interesting is, and I noticed this on the first episode, I have no idea exactly why the model is doing that, but it tends to, once you nail a voice of a character, like once you get into a place and you keep on working on the same environment, I don't know why, it does seem the models keeps on delivering a similar voice. So that was the first part of it, which is really funny because it's not, I don't think it's by design. I think it just happens. It might be based on the asset and how it interprets the asset and what it looks like. And then it's like, okay, it should sound like that.
Yeah.
So there's one thing.
Uncanny Harry actually literally told us that. He said, if you put a mustache on your character, it will sound totally different. And that was his pro tip.
Exactly.
It was literally like, whatever you do, I bet the earrings changed the voice slightly of the character and certain assets that you gave him. I'm sure of it.
But so what's interesting is also like the voice he got from the get go, like or like one of the first generations, it's starting to sound like I forgot his name, Anton Yelchin, who sadly passed away. I don't know if you remember him. He was an actor in I think his biggest role was in Star Trek when they did a reboot a few years ago.
Right.
He was a young, I think he was from Russian descent, but he was like super up and coming, and then he died like really stupidly by his place. But long story short, he had a very unique voice, and I like the idea that this voice was somehow similar, so I tweaked a little bit. So what I'm doing mostly, I usually use the model if it's right, but for every character, I always go back to 11 Labs. I'm training a clone, and so two ways to use it. One of them is I just take the delivery from the videos because they're working well. Like the video, when it generates, like there's this kind of a intonation which I mostly like, and so I'm going to use the voice changer in 11 Labs to transform based on the clone I have, so that I can get the same delivery. What's funny is that so on this episode I started doing something different. Instead of like doing voice by voice and bit by bit, I would compose a big chunk and then would export the entire audio track at once, voice change it from the start of the video to a standpoint, voice change the entire thing, like 5, 6, 7 minutes straight, bring it back in the editor, and then just recut exactly where I know they were talking. So instead of having to manually adjust one by one, the fact that I take a big chunk, which starts at the very start of my video at 0 seconds, means that I don't have to start synchronizing. It's exactly the right place from the get-go. I just have to remove everything where it's not necessary. Nice. So I'm doing this for Kai and for Artie. They have their individual voices. And then for the crow, there's this socket. I'm using a voice from 11 Labs, which sounds it's kind of a half posh, Snape like, pompous creature, and I'm using this one, but I'm modifying the voice. Like I make it sound like it comes from out of a speaker on purpose. I want it to feel this kind of a lo-fi kind of thing. All the how it's called, like the noise you hear afterwards, sounding like a walkie-talkie, is something which I add manually after each delivery. So there's a bit of we work on each voice to make it sound right. But mostly if it's not working with, and also like last thing, if the voice changer doesn't work, sometimes it's just doing weird results. I'm going to do text to speech, and I'm going to manually resync everything line by line, and then just remove the. A lot of manual work to get it right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and follow-up question. Yeah. Yes,
so I even like the narration right at the beginning when it was like, previously, this is what I've been up to. I even like that bit. I thought that was cool as well, the way it started.
That's why I said it's so good episodic. He's thinking about the hooks for the next episode and the way to introduce it. It's a really nice flow you've got now already by episode 2. Actually, one of the questions that we had, and we're going to get to all of your questions later. Paul is starring them in the chat. I can see Martin, I can see Danny, I can see other people leaving questions. One of our questions, though, was there a particular moment in this episode, because there was a lot going on, that you were most nervous about landing? Was there a scene that you were like, oh, which I'm gonna get stuck here?
It's not. So if I look at the script, it's not what I expected to get. So one thing first, and you saw the credit at the end. So on this episode, the first time I hired someone to help me on the project. So it was Julie Wieland. And you most likely already know her work. And so we divided some of the scenes, and the one in the bathroom where they discussed for quite a while. Julie took it from the get-go, and I was afraid of that because it's a lot of dialogue, it's a lot of exchange, and the fact that you can have like 3 minutes of people talking in the same place without really moving around, like it's super boring. And so there was very much of this idea of like it goes and it closes the tap and then it turns and someone has to pull back and it's going to make one step forwards, and you have to keep them in track with their position in the room at all time, which is like a lot of work because how the model work. If you just give the ingredients, if you don't reconnect with their position for that very specific line, you lose it. And so this, I expected it to be like a huge pain. I mean, it wasn't easy, but Julie did pretty well, and I think that was nailed like in the first week. It was, and also delivery of the lines and how they were. So she would send me a draft. We would discuss about it, like, hey, this delivery could be different, or like this moved, or like we had issues, for example, when they would get in the room initially, or like when the camera would go through the window, which was an idea of Julie, which I think was great. All the tabs were open and just not one. And so some of those elements, stuff like trying to regenerate again and again, we would use video to video on Seedance 2.5. First on 2.0, but then after 2.5 was just available, I think, to correct those things, to say like, okay, let's close all the tabs. And then it would not manage to close only 4 tabs out of 5. It would close all the tabs, but it doesn't matter. I would just like add a mask afterwards and just make sure that one is, so those modifications help. So that was the one I thought would be the most complicated. In the end was kind of okay. The one I didn't expect to be that complicated was actually the entire escape from the legs of the creature. Like, so when it starts walking and then you want us to, basically avoid the legs, because you can't get this right over like 15 seconds. It's impossible. Even multi-shots will to break down. So you have to get it partly right over enough generations so that you can then stick those pieces together. But it's a lot of movement happening very fast. Is the entire body, the fact that he's leaning on the left, you want the next shot to be still leaning on the left before he goes on the right. You cannot just switch on the one because your brain doesn't compute that. And for the legs, if the legs are in the wrong place, and the way they move in the yard has to be consistent. So I had different angles for the yard, but then I would pull one, but then if the character obviously is turning, then I would have to pull the other one, but then you still have to communicate what's left. So that scene, I remember like spending a couple of days on it, and making like 10 seconds, 15 seconds of it and being frustrated because that just wasn't moving forward. And that was a complicated one. Even with the agent like doing back and forth and saying, hey, by the way, this is what I got. Like this is backward and in the wrong direction, and this. Because at this point, I'm fine tuning the prompts manually, but I'm not writing the first draft myself. It's ridiculous. Like, don't do that. But even with the model, like telling me, okay, that might be that. Try this. There are still a lot of things which are not working out until this weird process with prompting for me, where like it feels very much like alchemy, and you throw shit at it until at some point something works.
Yeah, well, that Martin had a very specific question about whether you do multi-shot or individual shots. So that kind of answers that, I guess, is like try different things in different scenarios and see what works, and then double down on the one that works. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Everyone comes to their own conclusions and has their own sticking points. I'm so glad we asked that question because as someone like works on high level projects, it is surprising the bits that you get stuck on and don't get stuck on. Some people think, oh, the action is really intense in that scene. And that was like a 30 seconds Seedance 2.5 one shot now. It's kind of insane. And then the dialogue scenes with more than 2 characters, even though they're still in a bathroom, could actually be the much harder thing. And you don't like intrinsically understand this as someone that's not doing it all the time, so very interesting.
And also for the question of around the multi-shot, I used it, and it's great. You can do 15 seconds or even 30 seconds now. Although I couldn't use Seedance 2.5, just a quick note, because I tried it when it got released for that.
Yep.
And it would change the aesthetic a little bit. Like it's hard to explain. Like the final image has different kind of polish, so you would see it. So I have to leave it aside. But the more
so Seedance 2.0 is more like keeping the aesthetic for your exact animation style.
They both would keep it really well, just that the one of 2.5, which might be what I want to have, like felt even more like a 80s, 90s thingy. Like those shows will have early days CGI in the 90s, or like early 2000s, which were like still 2D, but bringing some 3D elements in there. Like it did feel like that, like the remix. But it would just be too different from everything I produced so far, so I had to leave it in the back. Next episode, I might move to 2.5, depending on that. But the one thing is, I think it's great that you can do 30 seconds now, or like even 15. But the more it goes and the more I use, I'm going to change 15, but I'm going to use like 5 seconds. And a lot of the times I'm going to ask on purpose 4 or 5, minimum 5, I think. Let's say 5 to 8 seconds shots maximum, because the model tends to stretch first to get it right. I don't want to have like 4 shots and throw everything away. Like I prefer to have like one really good shot and use it. But also the model tends to stretch based on the time you ask it to do. So if I ask for a delivery of a line in 15 seconds, the delivery is not going to be snappy because it's going to stretch over 15 seconds. So I want it to be timed based on what I want to get from it. If I want it to be snappy and fast, I'm going to on purpose reduce, so it's faster to generate. So I'm winning on both fronts.
Yeah, well, it's so interesting. Like, we talk a lot about this process, and like agents are different, right? And Agent 1 and Agent 2, which is what you've been using here for InVideo. Have you got something to show us actually? Like, is there a way of you sharing up your screen and like, because for those that are uninitiated and haven't tried InVideo, it is a truly unique agent experience. One of the things you said earlier, which really struck a chord with me, is loading the script in and having it memorized throughout the entire session. So for a lot of people that just go to a regular thing, you know, just a one-shot video platform, essentially you're going to have to give it your context every single time in every single prompt. And it's just not the way that you do things inside of like an InVideo style project, because you load all that stuff up initially and then you can have a long dialogue question with it, you know, after the fact. I think we've got it to bring up onto stage here, Paul. I think he's sharing it. Can we bring it up? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome.
So
look at this.
A couple of things with you. First, maybe to explain where I'm starting from. I'm going to share this tab. You see it, right? You see my... Yeah, perfect. So here's the script for the episode. So like for the fact, so 11 pages were like 15 minutes. I think next time I will try to maybe reduce a little bit because it was an insane amount of work. But the way it works.
And is this where you start? Sorry to interrupt. Is the script where you start step one? So script first, you're a script first. You're not generating base images or anything like that, or you're just going straight script first?
Yes, because so two things. First, I already have some assets. I'm going to show them afterwards as well. That's one side of it. Second side is like as long as I don't have a script, it's hard to even know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So I have this script in here, which if you read it, you can see there's some differences between what is in the script and what is in the final. So as I go, I also make some modifications in the dialogues, in how things are delivered, in some of the scenes, simply because like it just feels better. Like sometimes like on the script it feels good, and then I look at it, I'm like, no, actually that doesn't work. Like the delivery doesn't work, or like the chemistry, or like how it should end. Like the ending of the radio was actually like the whole key wasn't in the script. It was part of the next episode somehow, and so I bring it up because I thought it was a better hook to end it. So, and the scripts also, as you can see, I started marking everything for each scene based on the environment we already had. So I shared everything with Julie when we started, saying, hey, that's episode 1. Those are my assets. That's where I worked. I shared everything and how I was doing it the last time.
Yep.
But also flagging.
And is this because you mentioned earlier that this is your first time working with someone on this? So you've done all of the previous episodes solo, and now you're having to share amongst other people. And has that changed anything in your sort of workflow? Would you do this ordinarily, or is this just because you're now working with an additional person?
I think I would do it not that as cleanly. I wouldn't like. I don't think I would like mark every line and make sure that which I think is like just good. It's healthy to do it. Like it's a good opportunity.
Of course, it makes a handover, right? You have to like really perfect your handover. So yeah, I'll just ask that question because it's interesting.
Right.
Me and Paul don't have to do that handover process. You know, it's generally, and it's interesting. It's so fascinating to see how you've changed the script to make it handoverable with notes and everything else like that.
Exactly.
And it gives you a much bigger end product, as you said. It's kind of wild.
Do you find it easier to do it this way, or just different?
No, like so I always. You mean marking it?
Yeah, just making like a video. Do you find it easier to do it this way, or do you find it easier to do it I say traditional, but the way you've been doing it for the last couple of years using AI?
I mean, obviously, this is. I mean, easier isn't the word. I think it's just that the fact that I can squeeze a team of like I don't know how many people just on my own, because obviously I'm using a tooling which makes it possible. I think is a real magic to me. It doesn't mean it's less work. It's a lot of manual work, it's a lot of stuff. I always struggle to just say it's work, because I know that anyone in the traditional industry is going to jump on that saying like, try animating this on your own and we see what work is. I think it's just like moving the debate to a different place once again and deflecting the fact that I'm multiplying tasks, I'm multiplying caps using the tool. It's still work. Even if I'm having fun, I like it, whatever, it's still work. It's just not their work. So I think it's different. But yeah, so for the environment, if you want to see, so I think I still do Agent it started in Agent 1, and then the upgrade to Agent 2 happened at some point.
Yeah.
So I see Agent 2 though here, so it's weird. Maybe it's remarked after, but I think at some point there was a transition. But long story short, just for the environment.
We're still seeing your scripts though.
Oh, sorry.
Are you?
My bad. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry. Maybe a side note, like the previous episode was already using agents. So what I just did is like archive the ones from the previous episodes just to keep it clean. But when I'm working on the project, I know each agent normally has a very specific task, and I also know that they can. So because I say that this one is going to do a script that is going to just focus on scripting, it can also generate. So I don't break them down as much as I should. I think it's once again kind of a healthy thing to do if you want to keep things clean somehow. So for example, not for this episode, but in between episodes, I'm doing vertical fillers. So I've been working on those capsules because I like the idea to work on a 16:9 format for everything which is between episodes, which is not moving the plot forward, but just building the world. And so I have an agent just for that, because the prompting is slightly different, and the way it's going to, if I prompt the way I do for the normal episodes, it's not going to deliver as much dynamism as I could see. So I'm going to separate
That's
them.
That's another common theme, Andrew. Gossip Goblin told us the exact same thing. You know, his Instagram reels in his 9:16 is totally different to his 16:9 world. And he has it's like same thing, you know, building the lore, but not changing the plot, and not, you know, it's all in the same world and the same characters, and yet it's still like aimed at a different vertical audience and vertical storytelling. Very cool, man, that you're thinking this way. It's very good strategically. Actually, you're two of the only people we've seen do this, you know, have a specific vertical strategy to drive it's really smart.
I think and also I think it's less about the vertical itself for me, at least. I mean, obviously, like, people are used to consume vertical, so that's one thing. But wait, I have a dog climbing on me. There you go. Up. But it's more about the fact that as you deliver, even if you deliver like every 4 weeks to 6 weeks, I mean, and I hate that part of it, right? Like, but that's a social media game. Like, you stop existing if you stop posting, and it's not really possible to keep on posting. So I like the idea of having different formats so people can really distinguish what's an episode and what's not, but also obviously expand the world, but also just stay relevant throughout the thing until you post the next bigger thing.
And that's it, right? You just nailed it. Unfortunately, algorithms these days, if you don't frequently add to them, will just see infrequent, you know, things and then degrade you or downgrade you. So when you put all this effort into your long form stuff, it might just fall flat if you're not keeping up to date. Like, and it doesn't have to be daily. It just needs to be something more frequent than your long form, you know, which
problem with that though is that it forces people to just create crap. Because they just we need to do a whole bunch of stuff because the algorithms, and then they're like, wonder why there's so much AI slop about when you've got such great stuff like this.
Yeah, you're right. And that's the way I'm trying to get in there. So even on the fillers, I'm trying to have a short story which is going to be between 30 and 45 seconds, which is not moving once again the plot forward, but which is still having a start and an end. It's not just like, let's start with a fight and that's you know, there's nothing else to it. So the last one, I think there was actually kind of a foreshadowing what's happening here. Like, because the tall creature they were fighting in the yard, but then it was a dream. He wakes up in class, and that's everyone makes fun of him, and that's the end of it. So it's also like a nice way to bring, you know, clues about what's going to happen. But if you don't watch them, that's fine. You can just follow the rest. But so for the agent, to come back on this, the way I work, as you can see, is that I'm going to feed the script. I'm going to ask, hey, let's start first. I used to ask the agent to just generate, but then I would get a lot of stuff which is not exactly what I wanted, which makes sense, right? You can ask it to be in your head, which is not really working out. But so as I always upload the asset and say, hey, this is my Bible, so those are my characters, those are my environments, this is this is that, this is the script. I'm going to start working shot by shot. So literally either asking the model to kill it himself, or if I feel like it's going to be too ambitious, I'm just going to copy paste on my own script and say, that part which I just gave you earlier, so from that line to that line, we're going to work on that scene first. And before generating, I'm going to ask to give me the prompt, give me the assets, so that I don't generate for nothing. So what you can see in here For a scene, it just divided in shots. I said like maximum 15 seconds by shot, so that you can see in here. There's a 12. I guess this should be a 15. I didn't even give it to me. It's weird.
Just to explain that to anyone that doesn't understand agents, essentially, if you don't ask it to type the prompt it's going to write, it will just generate it and not even tell you the actual prompt that it's using. So that's a way of like being able to see and visually, give the approval to the actual text being correct and stuff like that. Just to explain that to people that haven't used agents or anything like that yet.
You're right.
Did you bring your characters to this agent? Like, were they built previously, or did you create the characters as well in InVideo?
I'm going to share my entire screen. It'll be easier so I can show.
Cool.
Idea. Perfect. So if you look at my assets, there you go. If you look at that's my asset folder for the project. So we built as we were going, but some things were already ready. Like, so if you look at RT, for example, it's here. I have the sheet for RT. They were shooting initially, so I had to fix in Photoshop and make sure it was right. But also, this exists in different shapes. So if I go back in here in Photoshop, this one is a simple one. I just had to, at some point, as you can see, add the headphones. But if you look at the previous episode, it was existing in clean, in dirty with the headphones, dirty with sword in the back, in dirty without sword in the back. So for each different state the character is in, I'm going to make a sheet so that I can put it when I need it. Because you could use the reference of the Walkman separated, for example, but then size is going to vary, position is going to vary, the way, even the design sometimes is going to be slightly different. So you want to nail as much as you can and keep it clean from the get-go, so that when you pull that sheet, you know that it's going to be the right one. But then
that's awesome. So you have like a master base sheet basically, and then you're adding extra layers like headphones and scruffing. That's really, really smart.
Exactly.
So it was a clean master, and then you're building the layers of extra stuff on top and then exporting that from the master. Is that how it works?
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome.
So the clean one, and then you bring. So in the agent, I'm going to upload the different sheets and different states, and I'm going to call them when I need them. That's why I'm asking the model to give me, before generating, which reference is going to pull, because it might have the wrong sheet. It might be like, think that it's one and the other one, and then I can correct it. Like, wait, no, let's use this one instead. But if you look at the rest, it's all invariant. So there's two things. There's objects, obviously. So look at this one. You want the object to be right, so you're going to have a separate sheet for that. There's all environments, so all different states which you need.
The different light sources. That's so smart. Nice. Moon, no moon. Of course. That's so smart.
So you're going to make everything evolve. But also there's this, which I think is interesting to bring up. So sometimes, how to put it, as you're using references and people are moving in space, the model is going to already take decisions on its own. You want sometimes to be able to build up from where the model got. And if I basically just use the images again, just the whatever references I have, it might end up in a different place. It might end up just being different. It might change the angle slightly. And so a lot of my process is actually taking also screenshots from scenes where I am to build the next shot, not as a continue thing. So I'm not necessarily going to use that shot to continue. It's just telling the model, this is where he is now. That's what's behind him. That's what it looks like. That's kind of lighting on it, which is on his face. But we're going now to ask for a close-up shot or an ECO shot or like a side shot, but looking somewhere else. But I'm going to feed this plus the references so that it knows where it is at this moment in time. And there's a lot of that which happens throughout when I need to pick up from a certain place in the environment.
That's like a context folder, isn't it? It's like giving the model the context of where the scene is and the lighting conditions, the background.
Exactly.
That's really, really, really smart.
And it follows it really well.
Yeah, it does. You've found this process, like I said, and it's very unique to you. We haven't seen anyone else break it down like this in any of the creative sessions so far. Yeah, it's really unique. No. And you've come to the understanding of what you need to do, like what you're finding as issues and then building in context to fix those issues. And it's just like really smart problem solving. So really appreciate you explaining that to the audience.
Oh, of course.
Really, really cool.
Also, I mean, to be sure, the thing, it's not, if it helps, it's great. I like to think that my value is on what I want to say and how I want to say it.
Absolutely.
But obviously, there's a lot of time which went into figuring those things out. Something I want to show actually for that is to make the process simpler. The agent can automatically export a frame. You can say start from last frame, and it's going to use internally their tool, which feels like a FFmpeg, which is, I guess, behind like a layer of UI, but to extract the last frame. But what I'm doing, I vibe coded a tool on a Google AI Studio for that to just extract the frame. So I would give it a video, say which distance between the frames I want to have, and it's going to extract them automatically, and then I can download them, which is going to take 1080p. So that's what I'm also doing regularly. Is like, okay, I'm going to bring that video, I'm going to extract that frame because I want to use it later. And I'm doing my exports that way using this thing. Where I can
and this goes exactly with what Albert said last session, Andrew, right? He did exactly the same with Magnific. He realized it didn't exist. He needed a thing. He vibe coded a tool. He needed to talk to Magnific. And then absolutely, he just solved his own problem with vibe coding. And again, I think this is a pattern we're going to see more and more. It's like, especially Henry, who's actually worked at Google, you know, and so he has a really good understanding of how the Google other AI tools work as well. A
question that came up quite a lot, but Lara, I'll read from Lara. She said, how much time does it take to make each episode?
That's a good one.
Stop sharing for a second. So this episode was around I would say 6 weeks ish. 6 weeks ish. Days are long. We start, around 8 until like 4 p.m. and then take a break because my son is back from school. And then take back a few hours in the evening. Then Julie was helping on this one, but like she was mostly part-time because she has a very little one and some vacation got taken in between. So I would say between the both of us, there's maybe 7-8 weeks in man time of work. And then in cost, because someone asked at some point, I think, and this always comes down, it's hard to, obviously, I have credits which are spending, and so sometimes I have to ask the InVideo team to top them up. But my best guess so far is around $1,000 a minute finished, which is not nothing if you count that technical video doesn't cost you that much by 15 seconds. But to my point, actually I'm going to take my Premiere file to show you the edit. There's still a lot of cutting and pasting and going different places. And the one thing where I shot my own foot with this character is that because I could do it in any short film I've done before, my trick was always like if a shot was like slightly badly wrong direction, I would just flip it and nobody would notice because there was nothing really to recognize the character was flipped. This one is different because there's a lot of
mirror image. You mean like I see? Yes. Okay. Smart. Again, a great problem solved. But yeah, you dug yourself into a hole that you can't do that this time.
Exactly.
How annoying. How annoying. But also the characters are worth it. The extra details are worth it. The extra hassle, I think.
So if you look at this, there's a lot going on in 15 minutes.
That's a timeline right there.
I mean, I could have like simplified it before the call, but I could do this. But like for the sake of showing how messy it is at some point, you have all the green ones and mostly voices which are overlapped. There's the SFX which I'm going to add on top. There's the ambient layers. There's the music, obviously. They're going to be like the small one for sockets. So, for example, when he talks, as mentioned before, you will have his deliveries and you will have the small sound.
Yeah.
This.
Your radio noise. Yeah, your extra little FX. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you get them from stock or did you generate them as well? Because I know that there's like.
No, it's stock.
It's stock. Smart.
It's stock, but for example, something I've done in the past, so when I recorded the voice of RT, when the model had the voice, which I found interesting, I regenerated a shot, a 15 seconds shot, asking the character to be talking in a studio environment with no other sound, no ambient, whatever, and I would give it like for 15 seconds of lines. Which indeed like gave me the cleanest version I could get of him delivering the lines, so I can then do a proper clone. So those things are initially generated, and then I mean we generated with 11 laps, but from the clone. But if you come back to
look at all just the audio layers alone, Andrew, isn't it crazy? It's like some people's like timelines don't even have this much video.
You're giving so much information, Henry. I always have a pen and a paper with me. I'm just taking notes. So much information, and you're seeing it in the chat as well. They're loving it.
It's good if it helps. But yeah, audio layers a lot. Like I'm always fading from one layer to the other one, so I can overlap stuff. And then if something is happening in one scene, like the noise of one scene might be bleeding on the other one, so that it feels less like I go from one place to the other one, but also like they own the same environment and the same thing's happening, just a different volume. So I'm going sometimes to just push the layer on the different one, but like just lower the volume because it's somewhere is further. So for example, when he's in the water because he got protected, which is before. When he says, "Are you all right?" The voice which is above is actually from the previous video. It's from, where was it? From here. So I use that voice, but I just like duplicate it and reduce the volume so that we can hear it from here. And it sounds distant because indeed, it's lowered. So it's a lot of like small tricks of like how can you use the footage you have to make it sound right.
It's really, really cool. And again, really appreciate you showing us, even in the timeline version like this, outside of the agent, when you've got all your clips, how you're doing post-production stuff to make those extra little details that really count. They really stand out. It really does.
I think there's no real magic. So to show you something else, like I still go back sometimes to, I could do this all of this in InVideo, so that's not really a problem. I think it's more like, as you mentioned, right? Like I've been working with Google for a year as a filmmaker in residence, meaning I'm pretty comfortable using Flow, which is very straightforward and easy to use as well. And so, but so for to go fast on some iterations, for some modifications, I'm going to go back in here, use Flow because it's fairly straightforward, and then go back to Photoshop to re-prepare the different assets, or like to clean them up, or to give different states I want to have. If you look at the yard itself, I had different versions of it before getting to the final ones as well. Same for restrooms, like we had some cleanup to do and so on and so forth.
Sure. A question that has come up quite a bit. I don't know if you've answered it already. So Flory said, in which platforms do you create the original character? And then Zachariah said, which AI model do you use to generate the reference sheets?
Yeah, so I'm looking at I got my notebook here. Mostly I sketch. So before getting on a story or a character, and I would have to find back my sketchbook, but I have always a draft of each character, like what's it going to look like, what's it going to be, which is somehow far from what we have. And then if I look at those, I think it was a lot of back and forth between a lot of, or not that many in the end, but I think the very first draft of RT was on Midjourney and then Nano Banana, where I fixed a lot of stuff, then Photoshop. And then funnily enough, I did the other way around. I brought back the Nano Banana one, which tends to be, I mean, the model is great, but it tends to go to an average somehow. I brought it back in Midjourney. So I had this kind of recipe between like references of assets, href, and my own profile from just rating stuff. And so what I would do is that I would bring my image from Nano Banana. I would ask Midjourney to describe it, like I use the describe thing. So it gives me a prompt based on that image, and I would feed both, plus all my recipe of all the href and whatever I have. What's interesting is that each model reads things differently. So that's why I want to do describe, because Midjourney reads things differently than the Banana. So that not only
and a great little tip, again, just to hold on that, if you don't know and you've used Midjourney, as well as /imagine, which is added text and then you get an image, you can do /describe, drop an image, and it will look at that image and describe it in text, which most people, when I used to do my Midjourney workshops, had no idea that there was multiple ways to use Midjourney like this. So yeah, it's another great little tip. I just wanted to highlight that because you're basically reinforcing and reinforcing and reinforcing, aren't you? Like you started in a loose thing, Midjourney, tightened it up with Nano Banana, gone all the way back around again to Midjourney with /describe, and then tightening it all up again. It's just reinforcing and then adding character references, adding more, adding LoRa's, adding profile training, adding all of that. It's really smart. Rory's the only one that's really showed me that, where he's like really built like heavy LoRa's based on his style references and his image references. And he was the Midjourney king back in the day. But yeah, we met and talked at that like Midjourney version 3 time, remember? Like Midjourney 4, and we saw that whole rise and everything changed. And then when profiles came in and now everyone's trying to do this. I'm seeing local LoRa training. I'm seeing Korea do this. I'm seeing others. It's mad. It's really good tips, mate.
Yeah,
and your process is so unique to you. You know, you've got the ability to use all of these different AI tools and Photoshop and all of these other tools to just reinforce and reinforce. This is why, though, Andrew, it makes so much sense why this is the best animation we've seen, because it's just a reinforcement, isn't it? It's like he's got so much going on to reinforce this through his abilities prior to AI, as well as his AI abilities. And I think that's what Albert and stuff showed us too. It's the same, like, just sheer like skill. It's awesome to see. As you said, it is work, mate. You know, this isn't like, do not get this misconstrued. We're seeing hundreds, if not thousands of generations scripts. We're seeing all of it, and it's all work. You know, I don't know how people can conflate that at this point. It's
even things like
to not call that work.
Going from AI to then going to Photoshop, so you're still going back to the skills that you've used, that you've had for many years, and then going into Premiere to build it. And so it's not like so many people think it's you not necessarily people who listen to this show, but you write a prompt and then you get a feature-length film. Like just
it's ridiculous.
Animate Sword and Stone in the 90s, and then you create a film. Like, it's not as straightforward as that. So it's great to see what you've done, Henry, and even everyone in the chat. Some really good questions that you've put. Here's a good question from It's Mary, one of our regulars. She said, where do you see most AI creators failing when trying to scale a short concept into a longer feature-length film format? And she's even put it in French. Is that French?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's French. So, sorry, it's in French. No. So I think it's good because you just mentioned it. I think one of the issues right now is as the models are getting better, like I think Seedance is, obviously, like, it's still one of the best models in the market right now for that very specific need. What's happening, and what I do notice, that there's a kind of new wave of creators using AI who are indeed 200% there for the social media game, and they're just churning 15-second shots of or like sequences of people just finding the woods and whatever, and they're making this over and over and over and over again. And also they're pretty vocal, and and it somehow works because they build a social media following, but people start to conflate social media following for actually like knowing what you're doing. And that personally annoys me, having been in this space for 5 years and still remembering when you had to do voiceover and everything because there was no way to do a proper narration if you don't explain what's going on. And so I think the reason why people fail, I don't think fail is hard to define. I think it depends what you're trying to achieve. If you try to achieve a bigger social media following, just do that. What annoys me, what triggers me these days is there's less effort being put towards storytelling. And actually, what I've been showing today, I know it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, like just trying to make things fit, like the dialogues and the storytelling and the making sure that somehow the object didn't just flip hands suddenly. Most people who do those generations, they don't care. Like, it's like an object is there, and then it's there, and then the thing's there, and then something just changes color between two shots. But most viewers don't care. They just watch, and they're like, amazing, and I wanted to watch. This reboot of whatever IP which we know. And so I think it's personal. To me, I think I'm more interested. Obviously having viewership and following is part of the game today, because distribution is still what makes you exist. So it's important. But I think I could make a lot more. I could build much faster by just doing those 20-second sequences.
Of course. Of course. But the end goal is, where are you going to exactly?
Exactly. What do you want to go with this?
That's why it's so smart to build long form, but then have a short form strategy. That's the real trick of it. Instead of it being, my whole strategy is short form, which is like, and to call the 20-second clip short form at this point, they're one prompt. Literally, these are literally one shot Seedance 2.5 one shots now. So I'll tell you some interesting things that might make you feel a bit better. So I was reading a really interesting article just this morning, actually, about the viewer lengths, how long people durate on certain channels. YouTube is going up massively with young people, and people think that's the opposite. People think that young people's attention is getting less and less. And yes, it is in certain places like shorts or in Instagram Reels, but YouTube long form, they're watching so much more now. The average, kid would only watch like 8 minutes of like a long form video like 4 years ago. Now they watch 20 minutes plus. And they're used to like 2 long hour episodes of Joe Rogan and things like this. They're actually used to that now. So I'm kind of encouraged for that.
I've always thought that was, I wouldn't say a myth, but I think they're missing the key word. When people say, people's attention span has dropped, I think they're missing the word initially. Because if you've got my attention, people will binge watch. Series I've watched in Netflix in the night or over the weekend. I've watched like the whole of Narcos or whatever it is. I think to get someone's attention initially might be difficult, and that's why people go. But once you've got their attention, like if you look at what you've just put together with the Junkyard, it's if you had, let's say, 20 episodes, people will binge watch 20 episodes.
Totally.
They'll just watch it in one session.
Totally. So once they're in,
when people said this attention span, I always think they're missing the word initially, because I actually think
I totally agree, mate.
Is longer now, just because the way content is consumed.
Yeah, and I also think that these social media platforms are purposely distorting their own figures. They're making things like go shorter or be more hooky because they're trying to emulate TikTok, truthfully, because they saw the explosion of TikTok. But as we're seeing, like, it is kind of encouraging that more and more people are into longer form things. And now me and Paul quietly say this all the time. It feels like we're on a new horizon where the real talent's going to bubble up now. We're in the like extra level of AI where if you can't keep up with the long form storytelling, you'll just fall off. You will be found out as being someone that's only a short form creator. But yeah, it's interesting.
And maybe to give hope to anyone who doesn't have like 200,000 followers on each social media, because I have more on X, which doesn't mean much because the way the algorithm is built too. But like if I look at the last year and the last 6 months, I really get studios reaching out, streamers looking for original content. Like the fact that you can build a social media following on short content, the people who are actually making those decisions are like higher level who are going to pay for that don't seem to be tricked by that. Like anyone can, they know by now that anyone can do that. Now they're going to look into people who can actually make narrative content and they reach out for that. They say like, we've seen this and whatever. Like even if you feel you're discreet, if you build something which is worth watching and which shows that you understand how a film is being put together, even a short film, eventually I think there's a lot more chances that people will find you, the one that will matter. So it is that.
It's funny because all qualitative metrics are now completely fakeable. You can buy 500,000 YouTube views for less than $1,000. It's unbelievable. Literally what you can do. You can buy followers, you can fake this.
Always done that. Yeah.
I know, but like, that's why it is down to just quality at the end of the day. You see, it's just like, it's going to be an interesting time. And I think that the best will be the best. And I said the cream always rises to the top. Everyone was always worried, there's millions more people making AI content now. I'm like, yeah, but the cream always does rise to the top. It doesn't really matter, like it's always the same. So we're in a new era of that though, right? A new era.
I think you had Lauren Indovina a few months ago in here, and she's always saying the same. She was saying the cream will rise to the top. Yeah, that's something she keeps on saying.
We need to have her on as a creator session. She was the one that did the Little Red Riding Hood one.
I like that one. Remember? Yeah, that was cool.
That was brilliant. So many British accents, bruv. Everyone's doing British accents. Uncanny everyone. It's so good. Oh man, it's so good to see you again, Henry. Honestly, it's like Paul, like I said, I feel bad that Paul's in the back end here as producer because it's really Paul's catching up session with Henry. I did see you at Upscale, you're right. And oh my God, we've got more questions from the audience. They've been coming in. Danny is a very nice question here. So chain of title, do you have thoughts on the human precision generative workflow documentation? Definitions drafted last week.
No, he's right. And I've read it like a lot of people. And before that, there was already a question. As I'm actively having conversations with studios and people who are more on the other side of, of the legal questions, so like procurement or whatever, I can afford right now to work this way without having necessarily like an entire system because I'm on social media and I'm basically building around it. If I wanted to move towards like streaming, or I wanted to move towards theater, whatever, you are expected today in the current way things are done to have what they call a clean chain of title. So what does it mean? It means that someone has to be able to prove at the very beginning that you or an individual created the asset you're using. So if we take an animation film, so for example, I'm working on a feature film right now, and I wrote a script, and I'm trying to see how to produce it.
Is that breaking news? Have you announced that anywhere?
I think I announced that I was working on it. It's just that it's not.
Oh, amazing!
It's not. I mean, it's not moving forward as long. I mean, it's moving forward because I do development on my own, but it's not official until I really know that I've secured the budget, I've secured the distribution, whatever. Like, and I don't want to, But the point is,
that's awesome,
every studio I discussed with around this are saying the same. They're like, we need an artist who's going to make the illustration, even if it's copying what's been done with AI, which is stupid somehow, but like, so that we can get them to sign a paper saying that they released the work, and then you can trace it back to a person physically who made that drawing, which has become the concept, which is now the foundation or whatever.
Wow.
So it's a kind of a weird thing to get legally clean, but that's what's expected if you work professionally today.
So you go AI generated character, you go Illustrator to actually make an illustration of that character. They sign that illustration, and that's a copyrightable thing because it's human based.
But I think so, because I think there's a human behind. I think technically they expect you to start from scratch, and then only if you go to AI you have that person. But I think legally, don't take this for legal advice, I'm not a lawyer, but my understanding is that if someone copies something which is being done, but like you trace it back to a human who can sign a waiver saying I hereby give the rights to that work, then you're fine. But to be double confirmed, the one thing which is sure is that people will expect to have clean assets. That's why I'm looking into this feature as a hybrid project. I want to have a studio, not only in terms of control, because like working with AI is still, it's fast, but it's still kind of a pain somehow if you want to recontrol some stuff. But also because you can tap into individual artists who are going to make that part of the work as well.
Totally.
So I think it's important, yeah.
That's super cool. And again, we're breaking new grounds here. When Albert was telling us about his copyright thing, you're telling us about extra things. It's really like people listening, you don't understand, like, everybody's going through these same things, and it's so awesome to hear about processes like this and how we can get copyright for our things. I also heard early days that edit that you just showed us, that crazy Premiere timeline, I mean, there is so much human work that's provable there with the editing and everything else like this. Like individually, like characters and scenes may be not copyrightable, let's say, but the overall workflow and the storytelling and the provability of all of that editing and the sound design and everything else, like that's another thing. And I think what I'm starting to realize is here, we just need to keep a huge log of every project we do, every single bit. Because that's evidence basically. And it's all going towards a giant file that can be given to a court to say, I want to copyright this. Here's all of my assets, all of my details, all of the things that they're going to need to do that. But yeah, we're still early days with all of this, right? So
the fact that you're using AI doesn't mean that you discard it for any kind of copywriting. Like, because some people are interpreting the law, like where it is today, by just saying if you use AI, nothing can be copyrighted, you say? Copyrighted. Yeah. That's not true. What the current legislation says is if they can prove there's authorship, which means that you can use AI as long as you can prove that there was enough of a manipulation and understanding of what you're doing to actually show that you decided. What they were trying, in this case, was created because someone was trying to get copyright over a fully ML-generated body of work where they didn't touch it. The machine just did everything from A to Z. And basically, the judge said, like, I cannot copyright this because the machine did the entire work. Yeah. But if you generate and then you edit and then you know where you're going and you have storylines and you have a script and whatever, you have a much better case of just showing, like, that's mine, even though AI generated behind. But it's a case-by-case thing so far.
And as Aaron says, another legend in the house here, it also depends where in the world you are, because everybody's going to have their own little provability.
There's going to have to be some form of universal.
I think you're right, mate.
Copyright. Because if, for example, I can't get away with copyright in England, but I can in America, then I could just fly to America, do it there, come back, and then say, right, I own the copyright now.
I know some people were setting companies in Singapore to be able to be on the same on the same legal side as a Seedance.
Wow,
that's something which happens right now.
Yeah,
wow, really? But then they just made a deal, obviously, with the Americans as well, didn't they? To be less copyright infringing and stuff. So I think what happened is there's now going to be a catch-up, Andrew, because this model was not allowable in most companies because obviously, you know, there just remember when it started doing Tom Cruise out of the gate and Brad Pitt and fighting like straight away. And so straight away, all of the majors would have gone, no. Yeah. Every single AI artist in the world.
That was fantastic.
I know.
Everyone spoke about it.
That's the problem about it. It's like shock marketing, and it's not but professionals, we need it for professional use, you know, like it's so irritating to have the best tool on the market not be usable in client work. That's the most frustrating thing about these things. So I'm just hoping now that they've turned a corner, you know, hopefully they're now on the right side of things and we can start getting clients green light the use of Seedance and stuff like that within client projects. And I don't know, but it feels like things are legitimizing. You know, I saw the other day as well, Suno's valued at like $6 billion.
Can't believe that.
You know, like these companies are just, they no longer can play this game of like, you know, oh, we're this small fry, the small fish. It's like, no.
With Suno, I'm struggling to see that one. And the reason why is because I think the record labels, if they don't already, they'll have to own a piece of it. And also, when you play around with some of the other, there's Happy Shrimp. I don't know if you've seen that one that came out the other day. That's really good as well. And I just don't, I think with music, it's a lot harder than it is. It's a lot easier to recreate the music platforms than it is to do a Seedance. Because if Seedance is this good, others would have come up with something like the next week. But I think with music, it's a lot easier. So that's why when it comes to the value of the music, I'm not sure if it's what 6 billion is a lot. I don't know about that. Yeah,
I know, but they already signed a deal with Warner, as John's telling us. They actually
that's
already
why
did.
I'm saying, like, it must be to do with the music industry is still pissed off because of the money they lost from iTunes and Apple.
Of
so
course.
they're still like because of what happened with digital. So you never know. They might be pushing up the value of it just because it pushes up their value on the stock market. So there's always going to be those type of games that they're going to inflate the numbers.
I love it, Aaron. He's gonna laugh when I say this, but it always comes back to music. And you said to us, Henry, you had so much fun making the music for this as well in Suno. And isn't it crazy that you can exactly? It was a brilliant soundtrack. It really worked with the rhythm and the pacing. And did you use timestamps like you would in your video generations for your music as well?
I should. I think I did generate like based on the length I wanted to have. So I did spell attempts and everything, and like a lot of variations, like getting the same theme but getting different instruments, so I can like paste them in different moments and then just edit them the way I wanted to progress in the song.
Well, here's our pro tip for you, because I learned this through Issa. Shout out to Issa. He straight up gives Suno what's happening in his video generations. He's like, I need the trumpets to get louder here because there's going to be an action sequence inside my video. And this is literally something you can do in Suno with timestamps.
Yeah.
So you can say, in Suno, when you're putting in your prompt, essentially, if you add timestamps, if you already know what's happening visually, you can describe to the model exactly what's happening. And so forget it just being a music prompt, literally tell it the video scene, have in your prompt, here's what's happening in the video scene. Yeah, so mixing and matching these different things, that's such a creative way to use a music LLM, right? Is to give it video model like prompts and stuff. And I was like, bro.
I just know people are using their voice for that. They're just basically, as they're watching the video, they're like doing the voice on where the sound should go and everything. And then if you do Suno, just transform and everything too.
That's another way to do it as well. It's really, really smart. The one thing that we need now is to get music out of Seedance, because it's really hard to stop it in the new Seedance 2.5. I've been trying all of the various ways, but if you're doing anything cinematic, it seems it just wants to add music no matter how much you tell it to stop adding music. So then people are like having to clean this up and remove the music, but keep the sound effects and the dialogue. And it's becoming a bit of a nightmare. Have you found any techniques for doing this or anything to Or is yours not really
experience? No, exactly. As I used to point, I was happy to see that. I mean, I know some people have put in some of the WhatsApp groups that they had a way to mitigate that, but
I tried them all. And it seems like it depends what you're trying to generate, essentially. If it's a cinematic scene, it's always adding it. If it's something animation or a bit different, it won't. It just won't, you know? And so it's pulling from its training data and just forcing it in regardless of you trying to stop it. But yeah, we need some negative keywords or some like, do not include this, and it be very strict, you know? Oh, I can see you're sharing your screen.
Yeah, I've been using this actually, like usually.
Cool.
By the way, I'm using Adobe Podcast for that. It's not perfect because it's basically just creating them out of one single stream, but it can help if you have a little music in the back. You can just remove it basically, enhance and push the rest. So it's not
another great pro
perfect,
tip.
but it can help.
A really great
good
pro
tool.
Tip.
Yeah.
Oh man, you've got so many tools under your belt, Henry. I love it, mate. It's unbelievable how many would you say you use on this project? Is it like 20, 30?
Let me count. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14-ish, I would say.
Wow. And next question is, when's episode 3? Are we? Is it in the pipeline? Have you already started it? Or are you waiting?
No, I literally wrapped yesterday, so I'm going to enjoy a couple of days to just like breathe. But then I would say 4 to 6 weeks again, I have to rethink yourself. So maybe for the people who are watching, but what's cool is that InVideo was cool enough to partner like officially on the season with me. So it's not just one episode, but like the entire season is going to happen thanks to them.
That's amazing.
Meaning that I know that there's now a bandwidth to make it happen. But
that's brilliant.
Animation is always kind of I think I would have gone faster if I had done anything realistic. I think animation is always kind of a tricky one. So I know that those 15 minutes in 6 weeks were like a kind of a rush. So I have to see. I'm writing a script right now, like how to pace this to have maybe a runtime slightly lower so that I can keep the pace.
Makes sense. Congrats, you really deserve this to be picked up by InVideo. And again, thanks to InVideo for sponsoring this episode and having a global premiere. It's like so many awesome things all at once. To hear that you've secured it. Is it a certain amount of episodes long, this series? Have you got plans like for it to be a number, or are you just going to keep going and sort of see how you go?
So currently it's planned to, if you count episode 0, it would be a total of 9 episodes.
Cool.
Right? Actually, without episode 0. So from 1, 9, I'm right. So 9 episodes. And then I have an outline for 3 seasons if it happens, but it's an outline. Nice. I just roughly know where the storyline should go and what it should be, but we see once we get there.
Again, thinking ahead in the world and how it will expand. That's so awesome to hear. And we've had no technical issues with you. You're the first guest where you've had a perfect stream. We heard you perfectly the entire time. I can't believe it, Paul. This is like a first for our sessions, I reckon.
Brilliant.
I think Uncanny Harry had to dip out to get a towel. You remember that one? That was hilarious. Oh, brilliant. So good to see you again, Henry.
Likewise. Thank you guys for having me.
Cool. No, thank you. Where can we stay up to date with everything that's going on in the world of Henry?
At Henry.
So
is that across all platforms or just X or
X, Instagram, and LinkedIn? Really, LinkedIn has been really great to me. But so LinkedIn 100%. Instagram I'm trying to build up. YouTube would be great because that's what matters these days. But it's always my first name, my last name, somehow with just Instagram. I think there's a dot between my first name and last name, but the rest is like it's just my handle. So
yep, awesome. And thank you so much for pushing this live now, so that we could give you a link to actually go and watch it again. The link is now on the screen to go and watch that. And if you're watching this on LinkedIn, look out for clips of this show to be distributed through our LinkedIn channels, because there were so many great tips that you dropped throughout this. We'll have little, short form clips, and so many more people see this than the regular live show. So we will push all of them all towards your YouTube channel as well. And thank you so much again for joining us, man. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
And
I'm getting all the love coming in here. Oh, what's the backstory to the mannequin, says Alex. I just saw that question coming in.
I can show you, actually. My wife is an artist.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Alex, for the second question. Look at that.
Nice. That's embroidery.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Wow. That is the way we needed to close out this show. That is beautiful.
So that's my wife's work. She's working on dress right now.
Very talented. Wow.
Yeah.
She hand embroiders all of that.
Yeah,
wow, so I see the Kitsune fox right there. You know, I see all the inspiration for your work now. I see it. Aaron does as well. Oh, man, that was such a great closing little thing there. Thank you so much for that.
Everyone's a fan of your wife. Wow. Brilliant.
Maybe we might need to have your wife on the next session as well for the creator session.
Brilliant.
Oh,
well,
awesome.
Thank you very much, Henry. Thank you, everyone in the chat. If you're watching on YouTube, please give this video a like. Helps us in the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell. All the
do your YouTube thing, Andrew.
Man. I heard one, the hype button. I don't even know where that is. There's a click the hype button or something. So that's the other thing that they're saying nowadays. So please do that, wherever that is. Yep. And also, don't forget to follow us. Go to our website. We'll be back next week, Tuesday. If you have any videos that you want us to showcase, the website, if we put the website on the screen, is the AI Live Show and .com. So that is, if you've got any videos yourself that you want to showcase, let us know. We'll take a look and would love to showcase as many videos as possible.
Yes, there's the website, and there is Henry's own YouTube channel, at Henry Daubrez. I always pronounce that wrong. I'm always nervous. Yeah, I'm always nervous to pronounce it because I'm so bad with names. Oh, man. Well, what an episode, guys. I've got a hard stop today, and I think Andrew has as well. We're going to get going. If you've got follow-up questions, let us know. We've always got an open inbox on LinkedIn so that you can shoot, and I'll shoot them forward to Henry as well. Obviously, go connect with Henry and follow with Henry and ask them to him directly. But he's going to be very busy, as we just heard. So, yes. LinkedIn handle, look for Henry's name. Yeah.
I can put it, actually. Let me just a second. There you go.
And we had a few more LinkedIn people coming in this week, which is very nice.
Yeah,
nice to see you, Nadia.
I don't know why. Anyway, my handle is this.
There we go. Cool. All right, guys. Oh, someone just said hello as we're closing out this show.
People that come in now.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Well, what's going to happen?
Yeah, so someone said, please do a live teaching how to make money using AI. There's loads of videos out there on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that, Zachariah. So, yeah, definitely check those out.
And for Sheldrick, what's going to happen for you is that we're going to end the stream right now, and then it will cut to the very beginning of this episode, and you can go and rewatch it, because basically we've been live for the last hour and a half. We're just about to finish the stream, but yeah, don't worry that you came too late. You can always watch us on repeat. We caught you at the end there, and yes, you've got it. You've got it. Big love. All right, guys, we'll see you all next week.
Take care, everyone.